All right, we're live.
Hello,
Hello.
everyone. Welcome to our live chat. Uh, can you see me all right over there?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay.
Yes, is my
Okay,
sound
so
good?
hello, everyone. Cull, create, making your life great. So let's go through those words, what they mean, what it has happened in my life over the last little while, and see how that can help you to make your life great. We're open to any comments and suggestions, and whoever chooses to be here and work with us. So, to cull things. A culling. What is a culling? A culling is different than a killing, right? A culling is done for a purpose. It's done, let's say, to take the sick out of a herd, to cure so-called overpopulation, to make healthy through a death of an environment, to allow the best of the best to grow and seek and to become healthy, have a new family, to allow the best of what is possible to thrive, let's say. So, in other words, if you cull something, it's like a killing could be seen as horrible, but a culling could be seen as a necessary death. So, how I would put that is if you're using it for your life, is like everybody wants to make life great. That's the bottom line in the event that we have here, or the show we're talking. But it's not enough, and Campbell and I have talked about this before, just to say, I want to make my life great. I want to make something fantastic. I want to make, something better than I have now, which is a great first step. But, in other words, the bottom line in that is you have to see how you haven't made your life great, made your life fantastic, made your life amazing. And I'll get into some personal stories of mine over the last almost 3 weeks of being with my old and dying and strange folks, which will be something I get to share soon. In that you have to, from what I've seen for myself, look at your beliefs, look at your choices, look at your limitations, look at your fears, and by culling, I mean these are the things I think you have to cull. You have to eliminate whatever's stopping you from having the life you would like to be living, the times or the health or whatever, and allow that culling to make some space, because you need to make space to make something new. If you're full, like if you had a big dinner and someone puts a big cake in front of you, as an example that anyone can understand, even if you want to eat it, you can't. And even then, if you do eat it anyways, you get sick. And I've had that experience for sure. So you have to allow some space before you can allow that new cake, the new life, the new way to grow into something that you can sink your teeth into. What do you think, Campbell?
Yes, yes. I think I'll say the statue isn't finished when there's nothing
Mm,
more to add. The statue is finished when there's nothing more to take away. And that's what culling is, right? It's a cutting away of the unwanted, unused, whatever it is. It's the same as baggage, right? Like we hear a lot about baggage. Leave your baggage behind. Don't carry your baggage with
mm,
you. So it really gets back to the whole theme of this is really all about getting to know who you are and what you want. And then you've got to go in and cut away all the crap that's holding you down, right? All the dead weight, so that you can go forward. Because we're doing something all the time, right? We're moving forward all the time, but most of the time it's not in the direction that we necessarily want, and that's because we're not really clear on what we want. And we're not going to get that if we keep listening to the outside world and focusing on that. We need to go inside and work out what is it we want. What am I doing here? And then step into it. And yeah, then I guess the next is the call of the wild.
yeah, I mean, Campbell mentioned it in other words just 2 seconds ago. What do you want? I mean, what people always ask for, people love instruction manuals, people love how to do things. Those are some of the most popular books, some of the most popular workshops, some of the most popular podcasts is how do I do that? How do I make my life great? And the reason I chose the title for this specific chat Campbell and I are doing is it's a very simple formula for making your life great. You make space, you call, what are you calling to? What is it you want? It's not enough sometimes to say, I want my life to be great, or I want my life to be rich, or I want my life to be fantastic. You have to know what you're calling to. And that comes to part of the culling, in that if you understand your belief system, if you understand where you came from, if you understand what's working and what hasn't, and this is all by your own judgments, your own discernment of what you believe is working and not, then you get to see maybe you've called something to your life you don't want anymore. You've called something to your life you hate from before. you've done the calling. Campbell and I have talked about it's your fault, it's your responsibility, meaning I have seen for myself, I've called everything into my life. The good, the bad, the stinky, the horrible, the wonderful, the amazing, and the horrific. And I'll get into that again. And what that basically means is I get to see how I've created, create the life I want, so that I can maybe reverse the order, uncreate what I don't like, recall what I've decided that's no longer working for me. And through all of that, you have to call what caused you to create and call the original, let's say, unhappy circumstances we all have in our lives at times, or bits and pieces of it, so that you can see how to make your life great through the process of taking responsibility for the culling, and the creating.
And what's calling you, like
Mm,
what's, a calling, having a calling is different to having a goal, right? Like a goal is kind of, oh, that's something I'd like, seems nice to have a lot of money and a big house. That seems like a good goal. But a calling is like, why are you here? Like what are you going to leave behind when you go? Like it's a much bigger question, isn't it? And I think when we get into these questions, we can get a lot more focused. You can get a lot more excited and into a calling, right? That you're here to whatever, make people think a different thought, to help the sick, to whatever, raise, amazing children, whatever your calling might be. It's a different thing to a goal. If you can find your calling, like why are you here? That's really what a calling is, right? Why are we here? What are we doing? Why are we here? And what are we doing? Like seriously, we're walking around with all this baggage that the outside world gives us, and that's drowning us down in all this crap that makes no difference to our lives, and it just covers up what we're really here to do. So that's really what the call and create is. It's work out what all that unwanted baggage is that's back, holding you back, holding you down. Cull that. What's your calling? Work out what's going on here. Why are you here? What are you here to do? And then create it, right. Once you've got your calling, once you've got your goal, once you find out what's calling you, then you create it. And that's the biggest thing is action. Most
mm,
people don't step into the action. They have their dreams, they write their lists, they do all their bits and pieces. They might do the inner work and stuff on themselves, but they never actually take action. And I think the reason is because most people's goals or dreams don't really mean that much to them when it gets down to it.
mm,
Because they don't really know who they are, and if you don't know who you are, then how can you know what you really want? And so that's the whole. I think we need to get real about all this stuff about I mean, it's just every time you have a group of people write down your goals, it's always got to be more money, a better car, a bigger house. Like it's always the same stuff.
mm.
And what we learn from that's all being given to us from the outside world. It's not what we really want.
No. Knowing the baggage, Campbell made a good point there. Like, what is your baggage? A lot of people really won't get to the back of their baggage, even what their baggage is made from. I've been for 3 weeks with my dying father. My mother's a zombie. My father's getting out. He got a needle in the eye the other day just to supposedly stop the deterioration of his
Oh my
sight from the
god.
doctor. And he does this once a month, right? He gets his eyeball frozen, gets his, and I said, what are you doing? He yelled and screamed at me because the doctor knows better than I do, and that's what he needs to do for his life. Even though he's been walking around depressed for a few days since it didn't exactly work out very well 2 days ago. No kidding. So he's more blind a little bit than he was before. So I'm watching all of this. So I'm seeing the baggage in that we are all literally, figuratively, and energetically made from our parents. Our parents raised us from one or from zero to whatever age it was. Maybe your parents left you when you were 5 or 22, or maybe they're still there like mine, barely hanging on. But I've had the opportunity, the horrible opportunity, let's say, to see like how I've been obtuse, to see how I've been stupid, to see how I've been judgmental, see how I haven't looked inside my heart to what I wanted to create, always looking outside. My father's every sentence ends with, "How's your money?" Right? Everything you're doing ends with, "How's the money?" Right? So, like, the bottom line for him with basically everything he talks about pretty much is the dollars and cents of this world. And he was raised poor. He told me a story of going to bed with a piece of bread under his pillow during World War II, running from the Russians, or for 6 years. So I can understand having that put into your body when you're like a little boy, that you don't have enough, and if you don't have some money, you're going to die in an empty frozen field being chased by bears in Russia. And I've heard stories like that, but that's not the point. The point is, as Campbell said, I've decided, and I used to think I was here for money, and that's it. I tried it, didn't work for me, but I got to see from my baggage where I came from, what my father's saying, and the dirty looks in his eyes when he talks about people not having, like all these things, so I can see who made me, how I became who I am, so that I see why I called the crazy life I've had up, even till today from my past in certain ways, so that I can create, as Campbell said again, take new actions, not doing the same thing again and expecting a different result. And this way, so I can make my life great. And you really need to go through the fulcrum or the forge or the heat of seeing how you were made, and how many people are willing to do that. I
Mm.
feel, that's a key, honestly, the recapitulation, going back to that, to really, really get to the guts and the vomit and the poop on the floor of who you
Mhm.
are, how you got here, and to accept that as you, even if it's horrible, so that you can do more beyond that.
Mm. Yeah, and accept that you're going to get challenges once you take action. Sort of action is really, a group of things, right? It's stages of action. It's great to take action, but then the universe will go, really? Are you
Always.
serious? Are you serious? And something will happen, and that's it. That's your choice, right? To give up or to keep going, right? They're just obstacles to make us grow, challenges, but they can seem, much more daunting when we're going through them. But this is the thing. It's if you know what you're going after and you've got a burning desire for that because it's your calling, then you will go over these things, right? If it's just a nice idea and some picture you've got from watching soaps or something, Dynasty, lives of the rich, rich and famous, then it doesn't really mean much to you. And I guess that's a good marker, right? Like, are your goals really, are they really your own, or are you getting them from outside people?
Mm,
Like Lorenzo was saying, like he was given the goal of, you need to have money, go get money. And he did. He went and became, a highly paid stockbroker and that, and it didn't make him happy. So, because it wasn't his goal, right? It was his father's that came from, probably trauma, right? Induced from, the war and all this. So Lorenzo spent his, 20s or whatever chasing this dream from a child in the 40s, like crazy stuff, right?
mm,
And that's what we all do. That's how we become our parents, right? And there's a saying, if you don't fix your own traumas, you pass it on to your kids,
yeah.
right? And this is another thing. If we're not ourselves and going after our goals and what we're meant to do, our calling, then we're going to pass our traumas onto our kids. We're going to be blaming ourselves, and we're going to be going through all that. They're going to pick it up. So this is the whole thing. The other thing is you teach those around you and your kids how to go for life, right? Like if you're in a job just doing stuff, doing what everyone else is doing, you don't teach your children anything but to do what everyone else is doing, or your friends or whoever else is around you. So I think, it's definitely a process, but you do have to work out what the shit is and get rid of it.
Yeah.
Work out what your calling is, take action, and then, they say, right, inspired action. Like it's kind of action like where you're going, and there'll be challenges, but that's great because they're just there to help you grow, to turn you into the person you need to be when you hit the finish line of achieving what you want to achieve. That's all it is.
It
Right? It's a ladder. Like the
is.
reason you don't have now what you want is because you're not that person yet, right?
Mm.
Clearly. And the way to become that person is to go through all the challenges that come up on that journey. And then you'll look back and go, wow, how did I get here? That's good stuff.
I mean, it's a good point you made, Kevin. In the pursuit of happiness and help the dreams of others, I would say, we need to expand on that then. Like, how do you help the dreams of others? I found you can only give what you have, right? So you have to help your own dream. If you've learned how to help your dream become happy, as we want to like reverse the direction of that sentence, then you can help maybe others become happy, but only, in my opinion, by showing how you did it, not by directly helping them, because nobody can help anybody do anything. You can influence, you can, encourage, you can inspire, but you can't really pick anyone up and move their dreams from one place to the other. I have found that to be my truth, anyways. So by seeing how I haven't been happy with what I've been doing, it's allowing me in our events. I'll give it a plug: April 5th and 6th in near Tallahassee in Florida, Forever Free. Your superheroes and your own matrix manipulation manual. I'm working on mine. I'm not going to show up there and give some opinions and give some ideas and regurgitate other people's steps towards how they maybe found their own happiness. I'm literally going through the shit of my mother. Like, how many of you out there can say they've helped change your mother's diaper? I can now. Oh, and I had to do that one morning when the nurse didn't show up. She was sick or something like that. So I had to help my father do that sort of thing once. And I'll tell you, that changes your life forever when you see, quite literally, up front, and you smell where a life goes when it's not honest with itself, when it doesn't follow through with its heart, when it allows its energy to go to the doctors or the health exposed TV suggestions, all of that stuff. And you can get into your guts. You go, whoa, I won't do that again, or I won't do that at all, because you get to see how you may have done that. And that, I saved trees. Sure, why not? Save some trees, Aaron. But that's really, in my opinion, not really the point. It's nice to save trees. Don't get me wrong. I love trees. They're my favorite beings on the planet almost. But really, I feel we're all here maybe to straighten out the trauma our parents brought and have passed along to us, because everybody's parents, one way or the other, have passed some of their traumas on to them. And I honestly think we come here to straighten out that trauma. So as Campbell said, we don't pass it along. And if it ends with you, then that goes out into the world. That goes out into the collective dream or the collective community you're living in. And that helps make things better, because you've shown through your own actions how to take something horrible and transform it into something wonderful.
So I've just realised that I'm the Illuminati. I've got like an eye and a pyramid behind my head. Yes. um, yeah, Joel, like put your oxygen mask on before you can help. Like, yeah, you've got to help yourself before you can help others. Definitely. And this is what we see a lot, right? People going out and trying to fix others' problems when all they're really trying to do is fix themselves, right? That they're holy people and they need to become whole, right? They're full of holes. But I would say that there's different ways to do things, and I think service to others is a good standpoint to come from, which a lot of people have sort of been raising, rather than service to self, because service to self, in my opinion, that's just straight from the outside world, right? That's separation. That's not community based. I think if we're doing things that are service to others, it's a bigger dream, right? Because you're looking at changing whatever, right? Society, structures, people's lives, animals' lives, whatever, trees, service. But the thing is about service to others or service to whatever is you can't choose who wants to be, who wants what you're offering. So we've all got something to offer, but the problem is we don't get to choose the audience. All we get to choose to do is put out what we're doing, right? And that's like with children so often, right? Like parents want their children to become like, if they're a doctor, they must become a doctor too. But that often doesn't happen, right? Because we don't get to choose for anyone else. But as far as, getting out there and trying to change the world, I think that's what we need at the moment for sure. But just remember that you've got to be the service. You've got to be serving your dream, right? Your calling. I think is what it is, right? But with a bigger picture in mind. And once you do that, then I think that the universe tends to wrap around you, right, and give you a path. And that's definitely been my experience. And the other thing is, you need to take risk, right, and then trust. This is the biggest thing. Because it's a bumpy road out there sometimes. And the thing is, we don't know how many people have given up just before everything was about to change. Like, we just don't know, right? So that's the thing about, giving up on a goal is that guarantees failure, right? The other doesn't, I guess. So yeah, I mean, this whole, creating the life you want, it's an adventure. I think, it's like a treasure map, right? Or like a game, a role playing game. It's just an adventure. You're going to meet strange, people around and wizards here and there, and there's going to be villains and bad guys and all this stuff, unexpected things happening. But I mean, that's life. That if you see it as an adventure, it starts to become fun. Right, it
Yeah.
can be this fun treasure map, this fun. Wow, I wonder what's going to happen next. I know this is happening. I wonder how it's going to get here.
Yeah. And
Um,
Divine Spark, we'd love to see you in Florida. I see we, the Sunshine
on
State.
with it.
Yeah. If you feel like joining us, come along.
We,
And
the
what
Sunshine State. Oh, okay. Is that Florida? Oh, well, of course. I'm
it
in the
is.
Sunshine State, but I'm in Queensland,
Yeah.
Australia.
So the other Sunshine State
The other
in
Sunshine
Florida.
State.
So,
Yes.
something Campbell said, which I want to expand on, is, offering. When you're offering help, you're saving some trees, let's say, you're offering help to disabled children, you're trying to save the planet, you're trying to whatever. In my experience, whatever you're offering is colored by you, because you're the one doing the offering. If it's you saving trees, it's going to be different than someone else saving trees. If it's you talking to children, it's going to be different than someone else saving children. The reason I mention this, I feel you can only offer yourself in every situation because we are the creators of our life. So whatever is creating is going through your intent, your beliefs, your subconscious, your conscious, your past, your history, everything. Everything all together is you. And you can't help but express, if two people use the same recipe to bake a cake, or 10 people, it's going to turn out different for everybody because everyone's energy goes into the process of that creative. Someone will say, I don't know how you do it, Jimmy. Whenever you use this recipe to make chicken, it's 1,000 times better than my chicken. I've heard it before. Whenever you make this sauce, it's way different than my sauce. And that's because there's an ineffable essence of everything in this world. I think we're energy first, in other words, and physical second. So whatever you're doing, your energy is going into it. So by understanding who you are, by understanding by recapitulation where you came from, by understanding your ancestral trauma, it's not enough, in my opinion, to talk about it, to discuss it. It's a good starting point. Why not? But you gotta experience it. You gotta feel it. You gotta see how you've made something you don't like real and a part of your life. You gotta see how it's all your fault, because by accepting that, and it's not a blame game, and it's not a recrimination, it's a simple act of energetic truth. Or if you want to be reasonable about it, how to practically create something. If you see how you've made the secret ingredient in the noodle soup is you, Melvin, you get to see how to make a better noodle soup, or how you've been full of noodles, if you like, so that you can, it's hard to talk about in words because a lot of this energetic stuff is all feelings. But if you feel your way through how you've made your life, you can unfeel or unknot what's not working. And from that, making life great, create something that is of lasting and living value to you, according to you, that you can then share with the trees, the world, your children, your dog, nobody at all, the birds next time, just yourself. Doesn't really matter, but you will find an energetic happiness in deciding and seeing how you've knotted your life so that you can unknot it and do something different as you would like to see created.
Not of this world. You can unknot your world.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I agree. Everything is energy. Slowed down. All this everything that they teach us matters. Is the matter, right? The matter, the physical matter. But it doesn't matter as much as what's going on inside and what you really want. They're giving us all these things that matter. Cars and houses, physical things, right? That's what matter is. So it's an interesting little spell break. But yeah, everything's energy. So the main thing is you need to be in tune with yourself. Like if you're not in tune with your energy or natural energy, then you're always going to be off, right? Or always going to be just out of tune, right? It's all through our language, all this vibration kind of music talk, not on their level. I just synced with them, all this kind of stuff. So this is the thing, like get in tune with what you want, with who you are, and then you tend to attract these things because everything is energy first. But that's inside you again, and this is been harping a bit about it, right? Is it's the inside world, it's the energy world, Like everything outside of us, pretty much you can feel, right? Like it's all the material world outside, but you can't put your hand in your mind, right? Like that's where the energy is. That's a different realm where all these daydreams and wonderments and thoughts and everything go on in this other space. And that's the magic, right? That's the imagination, right? Which comes from magi, which comes from magician, right? Like the magic. That's the imagination. We've got to dream. And this is another thing. I was actually just talking about it today, obviously with AI, right? Like AI does everything now. It can do all the animation for videos, and so all this creativeness. People who are making money off their livings off being creative are probably going to be out of work soon, right? So there's an attack on creativeness, and you've got to ask yourself why is there an attack on the imagination? It's because that's where the magic is. That's a very important place that you need to spend time in and work out what you want, and then you become this all powerful person who seems to be able to just get what they want, right? One of those people. We've all met them, things just go well for them. And the reason things go well for them is they expect it to go well for them.
Mm.
Like we talk ourselves out of so much stuff. And like I said before, it's probably just at that point that we need to keep going, that we give up. So hang on, need a drink of water.
And one way that we'll look at it, since Campbell mentioned water, it's a good way for me to come in here. If we're 80, 92% water, like a high percentage of water we're made from, and I've seen and I've heard, there's other elements of water that we haven't discovered yet. And I've also heard it prophesized or theoried that, there's obviously people know the three states of water, ice and then water and then steam. But what if water becomes lasers or energy when it's at a higher level, when it's moving literally faster than the speed of thought to other parts of the world? So if we're made
Yes.
of water, what if your water can turn into energy? Everyone's seen slow old people that seem frozen. No doubt, I see that every day here. Everyone's seen flexible young people that can flow like a river, that are moving. Everyone can see people that are good at dreaming, as Campbell said. Maybe they're steamy, maybe they're out in the heavens. But then imagine you can also move in the ways of lasers, in the ways of light, in the ways of your own tactical explorations, up and beyond. I mean, that is something that can really allow your imagination to grow beyond what we've been told is the physical possibilities of this life.
Yeah, well, they say that you are what you think, right? And they also tell us that we're 70% water or more, same as what they tell us the realm is, right? 70%. And we know, right, through many studies, but Dr. Emoto from Japan with his water crystals and basically putting intention and even just putting words on jars of water, and the effects that they were getting, like all these cymatic geometrical patterns, right? And how it works is all the nice uplifting high vibing sort of emotions create these amazing geometrical shapes, and the low vibrations just create this goop. So that's what's happening inside you every day. When you think, you're programming the water inside you, right? And so this is the thing. This is how we can, like, we're actually changing everything just by our thoughts. And you should do this with water too, right? Have a glass of water in the morning, put your hands around it and put intention into it and drink it. But back to thoughts, like that's literally most of our body, right? 70%
Boy,
that we are programming on a daily basis with what we think. And this is completely provable, like I said, through the work of Dr. Emoto. This is how it's working. So water's, an amazing thing. It's like, I guess it's like anything, right? It's an amazing thing when it's used in the right way. And you've got to ask yourself, why do they spend so much time polluting the water, right? And putting it all in plastic bottles and that? Because they know. And when they do that, that probably programs it with the crap. So, drink good water.
I
But
mean,
just remember that every thought, you're programming yourself. You're programming your next day, basically. How you're going to feel. Are you going to have energy? If you spend one day walking around going, I'm so tired, you're probably going to be tired the next day too. But if
yeah.
you spend the day saying, oh my God, I feel so good, it's amazing, everything's going my way, well, probably going to have a really good day the next day.
Yeah, and it's good to see your life. I mean, Campbell mentioned Dr. Emoto. I saw him before he passed in Ontario, where I am right now. I was running an old newspaper. He was coming to town to give an event, and I went. And it was one of the first things that changed my life is he was showing the crystals, and his son at the time and wife were there as well. This was before I met my Japanese wife, right? So I didn't understand any Japanese or any of the kanji. So he was showing the kanji, which is, pictograms or Chinese language as well, and how it changed, as Campbell mentioned, the water. And you're watching one say beautiful and the crystal looks nice and wonderful and the crystal looks a different kind of nice, or shit and the crystal looks like shit. But then he actually put up a kanji that meant the love between a husband and a wife, and this was before I was married. And literally the picture came up of a bigger crystal literally with its arm around a smaller crystal. It was so bizarre. I mean, that literally changed my reality. When I went, like, my energy dropped out the bottom. I said, whoa, how can water show the love of, let's say, a man and a woman, if you want to look at it that way, which I do, as the love of a husband and wife. And literally the crystals were showing that. So that to me said water can be anything, any feeling you put in it, anything you decide. And by water I mean us, because we are water. And I think it's higher than 70%. I've heard it's like 88%, but that's not the
Mm.
point. The point is you can move through what you need to do by becoming you, by understanding you. And again, it comes back to what I've said by culling. But you have to understand subconsciously how you are controlling your water, how you are making your structure. Structured water is good, eating water as well, all of this, it's all fantastic. But the biggest thing that I think most people miss is the biggest influence any of us have on our lives is ourselves. It's really that simple. And so if you are
Hmm.
having the biggest influence on yourself, influx, inspiration, what you're letting in, and you've been doing it since your first breath, maybe even before that, from what I've heard, you have to understand, if you want to change, how you have created the structure of your water. I like, this analogy we're using, so that you can uncreate the structure of your water, and that will affect, like a vibration or a tone. Campbell has offering tuning forks, probably the links here below. You hit a tuning fork and put it in your water, you'll see the water start moving. You'll hear it in your ear, it'll make another tuning fork start moving, right? So that's what this does, is you tune and tone yourself, or you tune and tone your water, and then automatically you will influence the person beside you by carrying a different energy, a different vibration, a different feeling.
Mm. Yeah, man. In entrainment, that's where, like, when you get lots of pendulums on clocks, and you put them all at different speeds, they'll all, after a while, they'll all come into the speed and go at the exact same rate. um, because everything's frequency, right? Everything's energy. That's why some people make us feel really good when we're around them, and some people
Mm.
make us feel really bad. So, also remember that you become the average of the, what is it, the five people you hang around with most. So be careful, who you're hanging around with too, right? Because we absorb all this stuff from the outside, but ultimately this is life's an inside job, right? The only way out is in. So this is, again, this is why they get us to focus on the outside so much. Look at what Trump's doing today. Oh my God, Trump. Oh my God. I mean, that's probably what Lorenzo's been hearing for the last 2 weeks is
Oh,
Trump,
it's
Trump,
just
Trump, Elon Musk, Trump,
and
Trump,
people
Trump,
lost in
Elon
space
Musk.
with funny hairdos coming back, and you're looking at them, you're going, how come the guys, when they show the pictures of those space, even though they've got hair, it's still all flat on their head, but the ladies' hair is up
Oh,
here. So,
yeah,
you
yeah,
look
yeah. That's
closely,
right. Yeah.
the guy's hair should be moving too. They have light, fluffy old men hair, and it's just perfectly on their head, whereas the ladies have their, like, the Bride of Frankenstein hairdos going on
Yeah,
over there.
man.
So you can see it's a BS game.
Gravity is clearly sexist, I think, is
Yeah,
what we've
gravity is clearly only working for the ladies,
clearly
and,
sexist,
and the
man.
men are okay. But here's something for you
So,
ladies to.
is that the people in the space station? Are they
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on
yeah,
about
yeah,
that?
yeah. I was watching it
Okay, yeah, right.
yesterday, and the hairspray, the
Okay.
ladies' hair is up there, but the guys, you look closely, their hair's fine, perfect, regular hairdo, no problem.
Apparently they've been
And
up there 8 months, and now it's
yeah,
a big
apparently,
story.
but when
Now,
they come back, their muscles, they need a week, maybe 2 weeks to get back into normal. Which is, of course, you try not moving for your muscles for 9 months.
I, I,
You're gonna need more than a week to
yeah,
recover from
man.
from loss.
And I'm amazed that they've been able to survive on the food of 2 weeks. What was the original mission? Or maybe it was even 2 days,
No,
or
yeah, it was like a few
like
days
eight
turning
months
into
of
9 months.
food up there.
And we
It's
should all
just,
start crying over it. But here's an exercise for you ladies too, to understand flow and water and vibration, because I've heard this many times, and I've seen how many ladies who live together. Let's say you're in a sorority dorm, or you're living with friends. Eventually, I've heard they all have their time of the month at the same time. Their flow is all flowing exactly at the same time, because they're hitting a vibration of living together, of sharing an environment where they're all flowing together, so to speak, or they're all mooning together, whatever you want to put on it. And from what I've seen, energetically speaking, that's the time when ladies are attached to the all of everything, when they're getting like a direct download of information in their life, which is probably why most of them get cranky, because maybe instinctually they're starting to see what's good and what's bad, and who's good and who's bad, and they can't lie to themselves anymore. I think that's the gift of that flow for women, is for those few days or a week or however long it is for you, you get an opportunity to see the reality of your life through the flow of what's going on around you and the experience you have. As Campbell said, we affect people by who and how and what we are, and that's one way. I think down below, so to speak, if you pardon the pun, it's vibrationally let's see, agglutinating, which is putting together what could happen if you want to change this world. A lot of people say, I want to make a better world, I want to make a better community. So I think that's an example, and the reason I mention that, of seeing you got to change yourself first. In other words, you got to be the person you want to live. You got to be the change you want to see, as they say. You got to be the
mm,
person ready to live in that community. And I don't mean with your thoughts and your desires and telling yourself you're a good person, or you're a great person, or you're a community oriented person, or you're fantastic, by looking around and accepting the circumstances of your life. Why aren't you there yet? And if
mm.
you're not, it's your fault, and it's up to you to figure out how to fix that fault.
Yeah, 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 because it's all your fault, right? Um, I mean, yeah, this is the thing. It, again, it comes back to you. Be the change you want to see. If you want, you can't want anyone else to do anything. You know, you can influence them, and the way you do that is do what you want anyone else to do. Do it first. You know, inspire people. You know, a lot of people. You know, I said it before. Want to, be whatever, right? Influencers or teachers or healers, but they spend all the energy trying to heal the outside world, and that's really what it is when they're trying
Mm,
to heal other people. That's the outside world, right?
mm,
That's the exact opposite of what they should be doing, which is healing the inside world. And so what? But that, I think that's the same. That's for everything in life. For everything in life, most people spend their lives going round and round and round in circles, and that's because everything changes, but it keeps changing to the same thing because they keep having the same thoughts, they
mm.
keep doing the same things, they never step out of their cycle. So of course nothing's going to change, right? And so until you have a different thought and follow that by action, nothing ever will change. So do you want change? A lot of people talk about change. I would say talk to yourself about it. Don't tell anyone else what you're going to do. Just do it, and then show people what you're going to do. But you've got to use yourself. You've got to be your own guinea pig. You've got to try these things. Try water fasting. Try moving. Try living in a tent for 4 months. Try just going off to other countries with no plan. It's all good stuff, right? It's all good fun. But once you've got more experiences, you've got more that you can talk about. You've got more that you can share. So you've got more ways to help people, which is all that, influence is, right? Hopefully, hopefully you're a good influence, right? But yeah, man, I think it's pretty easy. It's not. It's sorry. It's simple, not easy. It's a simple step plan, right? Get rid of the crap that's holding you back. Find out what's calling you, and take inspired action, and you can get to wherever you want to be. Hello, Sandro. How you going? And hello to everyone in the chat. Thanks for all your comments. I won't
But
go through you all because I'll miss someone. But thank you all for being here.
yeah, but see, all the comments I'm looking at: be the change you want to see. Yes, Ramdas, be here, be now. You are what you create. So what most, including myself, have missed a lot of until I've been here with my parents is, what does that mean for you? How are you here now? What are you creating? What is this change you're trying to do? Right. What's going on? Be the change. What does that mean? Be the change. Like, how do you change yourself? How do you reorganize your energetic patterns? How do you make your water vibrate differently? Right. And it's not in a thought. What structure water for change mean? What does that even mean? We are water. It could be structured horribly. It could be structured well. You can't be unstructured unless you're dead. Everyone has structured water, because if you didn't have a structure, you'd be a pile of goop on the floor, right? So, in other words, we all have a structure. We all have a creative aspect to ourselves. We're all making our reality. The key is to understand the key of yourself. That's why it's call, create. What are you calling? What are you creating? How can you make your life great? How many of us, and I have seen barely anybody, to be honest, I can count almost on one hand, and it doesn't mean they're not out there. I'm not calling anyone names, and it doesn't mean, because I've met, even if I've met 10,000 people in my life, I've met almost nobody according to how many billions there are supposedly here. But how many of us are really looking or really willing to look into the guts of who we are and how we've been, let's say, less than loving? I'll be polite about it, because I could use other words so you can understand how to become more loving. And what Campbell said about the outside world, some of us, like my wife, I've seen, some of us have to put ourselves first because we spend our lives putting others first. If you spend your life putting others first, maybe you have to put yourself first. If you put yourself first, you have to do the opposite. There's no one answer. The key, again, is understanding how you've made a life you don't like by your own estimation of what you don't like, inside, outside, sideways, up, down, whatever, fill in your own variables here, and how you can change that through your own actions of accepting how to raise your own tune, your own tone, your own vibration. And I would say part of that's the culling, because if you don't clear up the crap and the shit and the bad ways you've made life, how you've made life horrible, you can't do the opposite, because you have to see, Christina said we were all horrible. Yes. But we're also all wonderful, right? I mean, that's the opposite. We're everything. I think if we're the creator, we're all of it. We're all the good. We're all the bad. We're all Trump. We're all Trump's. We're all
Yeah.
Muskie. Whatever you want to put it. They're all a reflection of us. We get the government we accept by being who we are. And if you don't say anything, maybe there's a deep down part of it that's attached to it somehow. So I think we're all responsible, in my opinion, for everything. And if you change yourself, you'll find, when I listen to the TV now, my father's got news on all the time. He's serious. For me, it's a comedy show. I go, wow, this is the funniest show I've seen. Like, I'm laughing my head off all day listening to it. I go, sure, she's got hairspray in spaces. It's just funny for me. For my father, he's all very serious. So it really all depends on who you are in relation to what you see, in relation to how you want to create a new life moving forward. So maybe everyone commenting here can suggest to themselves, or maybe to the whole class, how they've been horrible, or what part of themselves they'd like to transform into something wonderful.
Wow. There you go. Horrible.
It's a little bit of a challenge. As someone said, we're all horrible. So, let's
Well,
see how we're
yeah.
horrible and what we want to transform from being horrible.
Well, yeah, it's true that we're not static beings. We've
Mm,
all done, stupid things, bad things, horrible things, good things, wonderful things, and we've all got the capacity to do more of that. Really,
mm,
I guess that the only difference is you just got to choose what you want to be, right?
mm,
Which way you want to go, and if there's, it's like a race, right? If you're going out, to compete in a race, and there's something weighing you down, you need to get rid of it before you start the race, right?
mm,
Or else, you're not going to win, but you might not even finish, right? And it's the same kind of thing, if you're going for something, if there's something weighing you down, whatever it might be, if it's, you know, bad memories that make you think you're not enough, or if it's just that annoying, net in your head every time you try to do something, talking you out of it. Well, find out what that is. What's the cause of that? And get rid of it is my advice, and go forward. And structure, right? Someone said something about structured water. I mean, yeah, right. We need to restructure ourselves, because we're structuring the water with our thoughts, right? And we are the water. So that's an interesting thing. So I'm coming up with a few spell words today, but yeah, restructure your life, right? By restructuring your thoughts, and that'll restructure the body, your energy, your frequency, and things tend to change, right? If you expect good things, you tend to get more good things. If you expect bad things, you you tend to get more bad things. Of course, there's always the left field things that we don't sort of seem to be able to control. But in general, we pretty much get to control, I think, what we attract. Because I just don't meet like weird, crazy people anymore. They're just not even a part of my. I hear all these stories, and I'm like, are these people still out there? Because
Mm.
I just don't interact with them. Because I'm just, and if I do, it'll just be a hello because like we're just so mismatched on energy. There's no conversation to be had. It's very interesting, but yeah, man, like just decide what you want, guys. Get rid of the crap. Go for it. Expect a challenge. Expect 12 challenges, and just know that makes you stronger, right? No mistakes, only mistakes, and get out there and it's 2025, man. Get out there and do something because if you don't, you'll blink and it'll be Christmas time, man. It's already in like
It's
10
already
days.
spring. It's spring coming.
10
Yeah.
days, yeah. We're a quarter of the way through the year. Can you believe that? Like,
So So I'd like
what
to
the heck?
talk about then forgiveness for a moment since it's come up a lot. And I like your comment here, Christina. We do need to look at ourselves and ask for guidance. I agree because a lot of times I get suggestions from the outside when I'm lost. I'll ask for my dreams to help. I'll ask for spirit to help me. You can call it God. You can call it Buddha. You can call it the all of everything. But often when you ask, maybe it's your own double, your own higher self speaking to you. It really doesn't matter. But it does give you a good bit of an indication of a new direction. And forgiveness. Campbell mentioned this before, so I want to add, let's say, a little bit of a definition to a practical way that forgiveness works. Everything you see in your life is a mirror for you. If something comes up, and we've said it before, that you like or don't like in someone, it's a reflection of you, definitely. So if you're seeing something horrible and you forgive it, it's nice to say you're forgiving them, but you're not really. In the end, you're forgiving yourself for having acted the same, and that's the key. If someone's obnoxious, obtuse, silly, stupid, rude, and I watch all of these things from my parents over the last little while, dumb, unaware, unhealthy, angry, by forgiving them, and I've had to do that all the time, I've seen how I've been the same in my life, how I've been dumb, how I've been angry, how I've been obtuse, how I've been silly, how I've been judgmental, fill in your own blanks, how you've been less than loving, and you'll see the forgiveness is really more difficult and more visceral than you can imagine. It's not like, well, that's okay, they're horrible because I'm a good person. No, that's not the point. That's okay, they're horrible because I've also been horrible, right? That's okay, they're judgmental because I've also been judgmental. And then you'll get to see through a recapitulation in your life, maybe the 87 times you've been judgmental, or the 47 times you've tried to impose your reality on someone by waking them up. We talked about that before, but meaning seeing the way you see. And that gives you the opportunity for the next time you're about to be judgmental, or you're going to wake someone up, or you're going to impose your views or reality on someone. You might stop, take a pause, look around, and then, as Campbell said, you won't be meeting those people so much anymore, because if you forgive yourself for being horrible, you'll stop meeting horrible people because you won't need that mirror anymore. If you give yourself for being, listening to whatever, the government or the round earth or the flat earth, whatever, it doesn't matter. Let's say for being deceived, you won't meet people that are full of deception anymore. It's really an opportunity to change how you are, who you are, and where you're going. And that gives you the opportunity to literally change your day-to-day experiences.
Yes, it does. So I'm just reading a few of these as well. Oh yeah, someone who was it? Someone started an album, like very good. Someone's released an album. Eric is not having his breakfast on a mirror anymore. I think that's a very good choice. Eric, don't do that because life is a mirror, right?
Yeah.
Don't do drugs on your life. Um, but yeah, I mean, this is it. It's you've got to forgive yourself, right? A lot of people that is what holds them back. They have these things that they can't let go of, and it's interesting that when we get mad at people, did you know that they don't even know that you're mad at them unless you tell them? The only person you're doing harm to is yourself. It's not affecting them at all. And it's the same when, in reverse, a lot of people say, flippant comments that they don't mean, and we can take them to heart and like it becomes a big thing. And it wasn't, we don't actually, if when people give us things, like advice or whatever, jabs, we don't actually have to accept them, or we can accept them whichever way we want, right? So, that's another thing is, you know, um, it's how you live life. If you're looking at it good and you're not accepting the crap from the outside world, you end up with a lot less to deal with. Basically, is how it goes. And someone said that they heard a lot of people were trying to help them. I mean, isn't that the truth, right? We see that so often. I mean, look at charities, right? And the only reason is because you're supposed to do the inner work first, and then
Mm.
like I said, if you've got something to teach, you don't get to choose who's your student, right? Who's looking for that information. That's so when we start pushing stuff, it's more about ourselves, right? And that we're lacking, or that we need to prove something to ourselves, which is just a lack of, some kind of thought, some self-esteem thing. So, I would just say, you know, be positive, focus on the good things, but don't avoid the crap. If there's stuff you need to deal with it, and then get moving. I think a lot of time, is wasted. Probably most time, I mean, people just talking themselves out of doing stuff because of stuff that, the way I look at it is there's no way that we can prove that we weren't, just spontaneously created 10 minutes ago with all of our memories intact. And it's just a philosophical thought, right? It's like nihilism, right? Like you can't really prove that there's anyone else here. It's just you, right? You can think it's all for me, but of course these are just philosophical thoughts. They're not ways to live, guys. It's not. I'm not saying go out there and think everyone's your servant, but everyone's a teacher, right? Everyone's a student. The world can be an adventure, and I would just say it's much more fun when you do that. We're here anyway. Let's have fun. Let go of the crap that makes us sad, unhappy, and do more of the stuff that makes us happy.
I'll
And,
tell you
and that
what.
is all to do with finding what our calling is, right? What we're really here for.
I'll tell you what, Eric. Come to our event, and I can bring you a bottle of that maple syrup. I see it every day
Oh,
here in Canada. One shaped like a maple leaf. There's tons of them. My father shops at Costco. I might go with him soon. They've got huge bottles for cheap prices.
oh,
Shipping it would be very expensive. But send me an email, Eric. Maybe we'll chat and
man,
see. That's certainly
maple
possible.
syrup.
Yeah,
They
but
sell
even
the
if you're
fake stuff
serious,
here, man. The real stuff's expensive.
well, here it's cheap. I've seen cheap bottles, but it's come from Canada, right? So I'm living in the
Yeah,
land
yeah,
of
yeah.
maple syrup. But the thing is, and also to understand that there's no time, because Campbell and I have also done videos about out of time. I mean, look at this poster behind me, the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Again, I'm in the bedroom that I was in when I was in junior high school, 50 years ago, and I bought that poster when I was 18. Right, and I found it hidden behind a dusty. It's falling apart now from being dry in that, and I put it up for this chat. But literally, what was I trying to tell myself when I was 18, long time ago, about the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse and what's coming now? Did I know, 40 years ago, that I would have this poster behind me when I'm talking about recapitulating my life and seeing? It's like there's so many magical connections and inspirations and epiphanies and deja vus and all these things which really come to your life, and you start to see, you play with time. I put up a video time slicing the other day. There is no time really. We've been talking to ourselves probably since we've been born. We're still talking to ourselves now. We're moving things together that, we may have the puzzle pieces that are there. And when you take all your judgments away, as Campbell said, when you're taking away parts of that statue, you probably get to see that you always had this feeling of a fantastic life and how you've liked to be and how you've liked to see. And you've probably been telling yourself this since you've been a little boy or girl, right? But you're just not listening because, as Campbell pointed out at the beginning of this podcast, you've been taking the outside world for what you should be doing. You should be getting a job. You should be making babies. You should be, saving for a rainy day. You should be buying a bigger house or driving a sports car. When in truth, that's not what you were looking at, let's say, when you were 3, 4, and 5, but you were feeling this creative process of making something wonderful in life. And you were seeing how you could become the superhero, right? You could see how you can develop your own matrix manipulation manual, which is another way of seeing, developing your superhero powers, which is another way of saying, come to our event, because this is what we'll be sharing if you want to see it. And it will allow you to become the person you want to be. And if you do come to the event, Eric, I can bring you several bottles of maple syrup. Not a
Oh,
problem.
thank
Put them in
you.
my suitcase. I'm flying out to Florida, at the beginning of next month, April, and it will give us an opportunity maybe to shake hands and share some maple syrup over our granola, if you like.
All right. Eric says, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So there you go, guys. Cull, call, and create. And making your matrix manual.
Making your life
Respect
great.
it. Making your life great. Yes. Hello, Albert, from the Netherlands. Yes,
Nice.
So there you go, guys. Thanks for spending some time. Please leave us some comments. You'll find the links below for the Florida event, also our locals community, Lorenzo's channel and email should be down there too. If you've got any questions, and go check out Lorenzo's channel as well. He puts up, different content to what we do here, or different videos. And yes, Helga's farted. Oh, okay.
Nice.
Hang on, let me.
Good for Helga.
Yes, Helga farted so loud that they farted right out of the chat. That's amazing.
Nice. I hate when that happens.
Thank you, bots. So there you go, guys. All links below. Thanks for spending some time with us, and we'll talk to you all on the
Yep.
next upload.
Full for power with the number 4 gmail.com. If anyone has any direct questions, I'm happy to answer for our event or anything else.
Awesome. All right, guys. Stay awesome. Bye for now.